It's election time in Hungary, so I've come to the capital, Budapest, to find out what Hungarians are saying ahead of the big day of voting. Viktor Orbán, the Prime Minister from the party Fidesz, has been in power for 16 years. I'm a Brit, so the first thing I'm going to do is go to a pub where I've got an appointment with a guy called Tamas, who says 16 years is enough, far more than enough for Viktor Orbán, and this is why.
I think it's time to ditch Orbán because we need to drift away from Russia and what Russia represents on the international scale. And we also need to repair our relationship with the European Union, which has been, poisoned with distrust over the last couple of years. And I do believe that the only way for us to do that is to get rid of our current Prime Minister and get a new one.
So if a different team dominates the parliament in Budapest after Sunday, which direction should they take the country in over the next 10 years?
So I would like to see Hungary head into a direction where public tenders are not handed out to friends, but are actually done on an honest, market-based level. I want to see Hungary head in a direction where we are friends with our allies in the European Union, where our economy and our salaries and our quality of life and our healthcare and our education, and I could go on for days, is on par with what you can find in the rest of the EU.
Tamás would love a change of leadership also because he wants a more tolerant country.
I mean, definitely a higher level of acceptance, tolerance, and this comes also on a civil level, but it also comes on a legal level. I'd very much love to see things like a legal gay marriage in my country. That would be amazing. And just overall, the better, more inclusive and more thoughtful treatment of minorities, be they ethnical or sexual or whatever kind of minority.
It's very easy for me in Budapest to find people who are very critical of Viktor Orbán and who think that 16 years is quite enough, it's time for a change. So I've come to this park to find the other side of the debate. Zoltán Kiszelly is at a think tank that is very much pro-Orbán, and he's going to explain to us why he thinks that Hungary should stick with their veteran incumbent.
Now, for the last 16 years, we had a system which is working, and any change would harm this system. That means once taxes would be increased or utility costs will also increase, that means people would have to pay from less income more for their utility costs, for their health insurance or for their pension funds. I think there is no time for experiments as we have a dangerous environment, not only in Europe, war in Ukraine, but also internationally with the war in the Middle East.
Fidesz election posters have featured Ukraine's President Zelensky alongside Peter Magyar. What problem does Orbán have with a man defending his country against Russian aggression?
Also, Hungarian government opposes the Zelensky government because Zelensky government closed the tap for our Russian oil pipeline and they are endangering our gas pipeline too. That means Hungary needs cheap Russian energy to maintain the situation as an industrial and manufacturing hub and to have the utility cost cap for the households. That's why we need cheap Russian energy, which is Zelensky boycotting. Once he would open the tap, Hungarian government's approach towards Ukraine's requests would also change.
I mean, that might even be the case, but I think there's a point where you have to let go of the thought of cheap energy and focus on everything else that comes with that bundle. And I think that what Russia represents and how Russia has been acting on an international scale is absolutely intolerable. And while I do understand that they are currently our cheapest option of getting oil secured in the country, we need to look for alternatives. We need to get out of what they represent because everything else that comes with the package is terrible.
I found this all psychologically surprising. I'd come to Zoltan directly from the House of Terror Museum, which commemorates the Hungarians who died opposing Russian aggression and subjugation.
No, I think most Hungarians realize that Russia don't want to send tanks to Hungary, but molecules. And they want to have our money, not our freedom. And second, in 150 years of history, Hungary fought 4 times with the Russians, 3 times we lost, 1 time we made an even at the First World War with the Germans and the Austrians. We don't want to fight a 5th time with Russians.
I think in Western Europe we know too little about Peter Magyar, the big favourite for Sunday's election. He was in Viktor Orbán's Fidesz party, and then he split from that party after an explosive, very critical interview that he held at a YouTube news outlet called Partisan. I'm going there now to meet their editor, Gabor, to find out what he wants to tell us about what we should know in the rest of Europe about Peter Magyar.
Peter Magyar comes from Fidesz, and this is his main problem and also his main advantage, because this fact lends him credibility in terms of he knows Fidesz and he knows how to fight Fidesz. He has put amazing work and discipline in his campaign in the past 2 years, and this is what enabled him to be where he is now. I definitely think that he's a strong commitment to re-establishing Hungary as a respectable member of the European Union. He's going to change foreign politics in terms of Russia and Putin. And I think he also needs to prove his commitment for democracy, the rule of law, and the checks and balances. And we have yet to see the level of his commitment.
My final stop on this trip to Budapest has taken me to the beautiful Parliament, or the building just opposite it, where the political analyst Sándor Istek lives. He went to law school with Peter Magyar, the favourite for the election on Sunday. So I asked him if he had a post note and he could write 3 tips for what he'd like Magyar to do for Hungary if he wins. What would those tips be?
Pick a good team, put good people for the ministerial positions. Find the moles within the organization, like Orbán's moles, and call Ursula von der Leyen and normalize the relationship between EU and Hungary.